Welcome to this episode of the Ripple Effect Evolution, where we are talking to Giselle Hampton from the ICANN campaign. She's one of the directors of that campaign, and we want to talk to Giselle about what's coming next because they've been doing a lot of work. But first, we'll find out about how the campaign came about and what the foundation is doing because they're doing a lot of positive work. So, the Ripple Effect Evolution would like to encourage you to be part of this campaign because she's doing so much good work for kids. So Giselle, welcome and
Thank
thanks for
you.
accepting my invitation. So ungraciously, but thanks anyway. I know you don't like the camera, but we need to get this information out because you all are doing fantastic work.
Thank you. So the ICANN campaign is actually an initiative from the ICANN You Can We Can Foundation. It was started, my son actually, who's Gabriel Hampton, entered into a competition to become a child rights ambassador, and that's with the Ministry of Youth Development, and Child Affairs. Sorry, that's a sect of the Prime Minister's office actually. And became a child rights ambassador in November 2021.
At age 10.
Yes.
Right.
And what he wanted to do was have an initiative that would help because that's what they had to do, basically.
Right.
That's what you enter the competition, you become a child rights ambassador, and you promote the rights of a child.
Right. So that's how everything stemmed out of that.
So he picked basically 3 of the rights to go on. And that was during COVID. We still had lockdown, we still had everybody still in mass, and
Yes.
so he did, and then they also had the poverty and the education aspect of people not going to work, and then people not being children not being accessible to education and
Correct.
devices and everything else. So he started the ICANN campaign, and in January, that would have been 2022, was one of the first initiatives to distribute food hampers to. I believe that we would have gone first to Guayabari.
There were some remote areas, yes.
Yes, very remote areas where you had children.
It started with food and went on.
We delivered food, clothing. So we'd be on these vans and you'd have containers on it, and then you would go to the rural areas and you'd distribute from on top of the van. And educational supplies, so copybooks, notebooks,
yes.
Pens, papers, textbooks, bags, shoes. Because again, where they weren't working.
Correct. Parents were home, locked down, and then children were suffering as well.
Yeah, so that he did those things, and then right to health and education, and right to accessible food and clean food, healthy food. So that's how the ICANN campaign started. And when we started that his initiatives, and they had for the whole of 2022, he did a number of different drives. And drives, I mean campaigns to go out in these rural areas, doing book drives, free libraries that we built. In other words, there's one down in Cedros, another school. So we got donations. And he had the...
Oh, you access them in a school?
Yes.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so we aligned with teachers from rural areas who would know who the children are, who would need the children also in their areas.
Yes.
So that they can tell us, okay, or we also worked with different charities, registered charities. So we knew their work, we knew where they went to, we knew, okay, so if you're going on to Cedros, you have this foundation that would be able to access where it is, that would be the poor areas, and would know the children, and would know the families, and would be helping some of the families all the time. And that initiative grew, that we started to help them build farms.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know about that one.
Yeah, so we aligned with the Shore Foundation, who distributes free seedlings. So they're all about renewable agriculture and sustainability. So there's a campaign that actually does sustainability of food. So when we went to certain areas and you saw whether or not they can do either kitchen garden or they had land, but they don't have the
access to all the
money to purchase. Yes. So
seedlings.
We got donations of buckets, put up a hydroponic system. Since then, at fertilizers, that we would get donations, financial donations, people saying what he was doing and was so happy and didn't know what to do. And they like, you use it. And then, so we'd go back into the area once it was assessed. Now, all the areas are assessed before any project like that is put on.
Okay.
Because you don't want it to not be sustainable.
Right.
You want them to also have the
So
ability
you
to
got the people that like their backyards
their
or
backyard. So if you didn't have as much space, but you had a lot, a land that is not a lot in terms of 5,000 square feet
yeah.
or less, you would be able to put up like a normal kitchen garden. So if we could give you seedlings like bodi and lettuce and thing, at least you would have something to eat,
Right.
right? And then we had farmers who had land, like we had in the rural areas where they had accessibility to like acres of land or land that they could
But don't have the
plant.
money to plant it up.
Exactly. Don't have the equipment, don't have the money, don't have the funding,
Right.
don't have the know-how. So we also had one who went down to see whether or not we can build a solar-powered, because some of them don't have lights, area,
Yeah.
and to have their fertilizers actually power the generator,
Oh wow.
right? And that was again done by somebody who saw what we were doing and said, "No, I want to come and see, I want to help." And that same person we donated a goat to. It was the funniest thing to try and transport the goat, but yes.
So they have a goat farm now?
They have a goat farm, and I think the difficulty they had down there was things like bats. So bats would bite the animals, and they would actually die.
Oh
So
my.
yeah, so we actually got the Ministry of Agriculture to assist. They come in and they actually treat for bats, if one for a better word, but yes. So
That's a lot right there. That's a lot. Because you have a lot coming up again. Because I remember the crochet part of
Yes.
it where you had kids.
So the whole I Can campaign was the fact that he was 10 and he's like, what can I do? Because it's a children's campaign. So what exactly can I do as a child? So we are accustomed to donating. They have to go through and sift through toys every Christmas
And give away some of
give away what they don't use and go through all their old clothes and
Right.
well, not old clothes, gently used clothes
Right.
that can
Yeah.
still be used somewhere
yes.
else. And especially in COVID, nobody used the new clothes. They used it home because you couldn't go anywhere.
Of course.
So they all grew out of it. So what he started doing is he asking all his friends, and we put up ads and got a good bit of donations of clothing, toys, books. We got bed sheets but we live in Trinidad. We Trinidadians tend to use your bed sheets till they're going through, right? Because they're so comfortable too. Like they so even tread bed, but they so sometimes
Yeah, like
soft.
yes, you have a blanket you love that you keep it all the time. Yeah.
So it wasn't something that we wanted to give out to persons because I mean you may not be able to afford it. Doesn't mean you need to get.
Yeah, I know what you
something,
mean. Correct.
Right. So he started this initiative where we would get people to donate their skill services. So if you could have sew or a tailor or could crochet or anything else like that, because baby stuff too. Also, you didn't want
Use stuff for a brand new
that
baby.
new. Yes.
Yes.
So we had older folks who had the ability to, and even some we have a good bit of teenagers who sew. Even if you could simple stitch. So we donated material, got it cut, sent it to all our volunteers, seamstresses, and everybody else, and they would stitch it, sew it, and send it back. So they got new sheets.
New sheets. I agree with that.
It was plain sheets and only flat sheets and pillowcases because when you went to these houses in the rural areas, you would see you don't know their bed sizes. If they have a bed, if you have a sponge on the ground, or whether or not they had curtains. So they actually used the sheets as a curtain or a bed sheet or to cover whatever little furniture they had.
I know what you mean, yes.
So, and it was very welcomed to them. And he also had donated the same people who sewed sheet sets to the pediatric oncology ward. So all the kids with cancer.
Oh, we didn't get there yet. We didn't get there yet. So
we still now in 2020, early 2020.
Yeah, the crochet, because even my daughter got involved in
Yes.
the crochet stuff. Because you did to babies and like so you did little hats and booties and blankets and that kind of thing. Little headbands.
Yes, we have some very adorable little things that make you want to have another one, but
moving along. Then it grew into the other aspect of the ICANN where he had a friend who was sick. And then it came into the...
So at that time he was a student at Grant Memorial Presbyterian, and there was, she's now at Napoli McGill's, one of the students who had gotten diagnosed during COVID. and he had seen her come in. She missed her. That's Sidara actually, and she had missed her SEA exam because she was hospitalized.
Right.
So she got the reset. I shouldn't say the reset. She got the ability to write it at
Yeah.
a different time, and even seeing her journey or reading about her journey and the difficulties, because I think he laughed and said, "But I get out of jail free card. I mean, I didn't have to write a CA, but she like persevered through all of this and treatment and needles and everything to
Go
so
back and write.
then when you got involved in knowing the lifestyle or what they went through, it was an area that we needed to help for, because when you did the research into what the children with cancer was able to access from, let's say, not the government but it's in general, so it's not a disability, so they don't get a disability grant, but it's a financial burden
On the
seriously
family, and
on
you
the
need a
family.
lot of support and a lot of income,
You
but of
do.
money to
You do.
fight it. Yes.
You do. You need, and then because they're children and not adults, you tend to have somebody there all the time. So your child gets a fever, they get rushed to the JBF ward in Mount Hope, which is the only ward that does the entire country. So regardless of where you are in the country, that's where you're warded, right, at Mount
Yeah,
Hope.
Mount Hope.
And that's a slight fever. There's no two things. You go to the ward one time
Yes,
because it can be
especially a child
anything,
with cancer, yes.
right? So
So the ICANN campaign now stretch over to awareness to kids with
yes,
cancer.
it is. It is. He started one at that point in time as a tribute. My brother, eldest brother, passed away in November 2021. I think he got to see Gabriel's presentation, and when he had actually reached the top 10, I can't recall whether he knew if he won. Right when he got into the top 5, into
Because he was
yes.
yeah.
So, and we saw it firsthand. You saw all the care, all the palliative care too, when you reach a certain stage.
Yes.
How difficult it is with your families, how difficult it is with everybody else, with work schedules, with everybody.
And that's an adult.
Yes. Yes. So now when you have to see your child do it and you have to take time off all the time, and not all employers are that reasonable,
Yes.
right, with it. So, so he started working with the kids with cancer to help them. So we formed an alliance with
And it grew.
Yes.
And it grew.
It grew.
And then you had your first big fair.
We did.
Big selling stuff to raise money
Yes.
for a couple of the kids.
Yes, they had 3 kids
So
with
had to
cancer
go
that
away.
needed bone marrow transplants. One that he had assisted with books the August before, because we do book drives and school book drives. And he had relapsed and needed to go and do the bone marrow transplant, and that is done in India, and it's a bit expensive. They get the assistance from the government through the Child Lives Fund, but you still have an excess to make.
It's a lot,
right?
It is a lot because you have to take your parents.
Well, you take one. They pay for the one parent and a child, and the parent most times are the donors, right? And the matches.
Yeah.
But regardless of, they still have, I believe they pay for 3 months of their stay there, and then everything else you have to foot in terms of not hospital, accommodation.
Everything else.
Right, and then they stay there for a while. So as
the treatment is done.
For the treatment, and then they have to stay there to get observation. To make sure that
it does,
yes.
because the body would reject.
Yes, so child has to stay there for a bit and be monitored on it. So it's an expense that you have to also cover.
Yes.
Right. I mean, and you're going to a foreign country. You're going to somewhere all the way on the other side of the world. It's
not an easy thing.
So this was in March. We threw a fair, a charity fair, which was a health fair, because we started saying here what we needed, the healthy lifestyles to fix
build awareness,
to have people aware
of,
right, so that they could come and see. So we had everybody from the Trinidad and Tobago Medical Association, Cancer Society, the Heart Foundation, the Diabetes Foundation, who were there to give free information. And we also invited
Oh, and then you was able to showcase your beautiful sewing,
Yeah.
all the
We had
bags.
a little booth, a little table where we
Yeah.
sold what.
And the quality was
Yes,
really, really good. I
yes.
must say that. The quality was really, really good.
Oh, we have some talented volunteers because
Yeah.
they did bags, and the bags are the ones that we sell for income for the foundation
Right.
itself. And as I said before, the foundation itself was actually incorporated after the I Can campaign.
Right.
Because again, I'm all about transparency of funds and how you get it,
Everything's
and then you
being
get
used,
it,
correct.
yes, so that you actually had a corporate entity to go through. Well, I should say a non-profit entity, but
Yeah,
it's still
yeah,
under
correct.
right to go through that would assist his ideas on what it was. But at least you have to run this properly
Yes.
if it's getting to that large extent, especially when you want to raise so much money.
But it's
in
huge
terms of
because you
this.
did raise a lot of money to
We
send
did.
those kids.
We did. We had good corporate sponsors also.
Yes.
We raised about $125,000 to $150,000.
Yeah.
That would have gone also to them, and I think it was well received because we had an area for adults and we had held it in Naprima College, used their auditorium and did a market. So we invited
Yes.
Artisans to come in and sell their products at a minimum cost, and so that we can get people out there. And then we had like a bazaar, like a whole
Yes, a
fair,
whole big-
games
yes,
and
yes.
food and everything on their grounds. So I mean, it was an enjoyable family event because that's what you want. You want clean fun also. That,
Yes.
you could go to an event, something for your kids, something for you, something for everybody.
Yeah.
Plus being informative about it. And then I think what we did after that for kids with cancer, well, every Mondays almost
Right.
Mondays, I should say,
You take
we deliver fresh fruit, vegetables, food
and water.
and water to the pediatric oncology ward at Mount Hope.
So
Here.
people supply you with the fruits.
People do two things. They either would donate, and what we had asked people to do is you have a mango tree,
Pick your mangoes.
pick your mangoes and bring it. People sort it, wash it, and bag it and send it
Where
up.
do you get time to do all these things?
Ask them. I guess when it was COVID and in between breaks, all the kids would be sitting down
Involved.
and bagging out fruits and vegetables, or depends on when we got the donations in. So it will either be packaged on the Monday morning or the Sunday.
And then how did the big concert turn out?
Oh, I think that was we did a free concert actually for in awareness of Childhood Cancer Month, which is September, and that was in Sapa. I think it was well received. I think all the reviews we got for it was excellent because we said that after having the cost of books for children, and this is an awareness we needed parents and children to know.
Yes.
And to be aware of.
Yeah.
So the monetary factor there, I know for all charity weeks and everything else, you need the funding for it, but you wanted to build the awareness that this was present. So we decided, you know what, let's do it free. So we invited, we had excellent artists. We had you as host.
I went to introduce the MC and got thrown in as the co-host.
Oh no, that's an excellent job though. But and then we actually got the children from some of the children with cancer to attend, and that was a good thing because
some of these speeches were very emotional,
Yes.
very moving, and we did not realize the extent of the stress that parents go
Yes.
through. And so I just want to talk about the distressor. We really
Yes.
have to coordinate that. That's coming up for the parents.
Yes.
Children could come in too, but I mean, you're not allowed really to be interactive with
Yes.
children because the immune system is so
Yes.
low. So we want to do a distressor for parents, and we talk more about that because now probably have a yoga instructor on board, a fitness
I agree.
instructor.
I think the
probably get a
parents
couple
do need
massage
that because
therapists.
you tend to neglect yourself because everything now is about
Focus on the child, yes.
getting and your family life. So it's a balancing act that is so
I think the
difficult
important
sometimes.
message to get across too is that there are people who care,
Yes.
and that sense of community and socializing at that level where people come in to show support for you is much needed.
I think so.
And I would really like to work on that project and get it off the ground to make it
No,
happen.
but I think we've made I think we've thrown the stone in the pond and did the ripple.
The ripples are coming
yes,
out.
plenty because we get I mean, we get people, I think when he was in grad school, and I got a call from the vice principal, and they're like, somebody's here to make a donation. And I was like, donation? They're like, they heard that he went to that school. They didn't know where to donate because at that point in time, we weren't,
Yeah,
all the
yeah.
bank accounts weren't up,
Yeah, yeah, you
everything
weren't
else. So
registered and
they
everything.
just asked to see the principal and say they wanted to donate, and came in, and they came in from Tobago.
Oh, wow.
And so,
Oh, wow.
it's, you don't understand how, or you don't see the magnitude of the work because you're just saying it needs to be done because you're seeing the need for it.
Yeah.
But there are plenty of people who need the avenues to do it, and that's what I think he tries to do: incorporate all the youths he gets in touch with.
So people are jumping on, but what's next? What's coming next?
Well, we try not to do too much for Christmas because Christmas is a time when I know everybody tries to do
Something, yes. And
so
people
they
they're
get
much more generous and
they
give
get a lot from different charities
Yes,
and
yeah.
everything else. So we sort of hold back until January because that's the month we call every Chinese call it Bangra month. Because you've spent so much of
Yes,
it, so
December, yes.
and then you've gotten through these things. But we do have a free fair. Get free books, clothing, toys.
Like an exchange.
Yes.
People take what they need.
We may put a minimum cost on certain things because I'm always the firm believer also that, I mean, you should be able to at least give something. So $2, $1 for a top, $5 for a top. It's not
Okay.
just to cover some of the administrative cost in it
Right.
or pushing it, but it's more of free fare. You come in, and we've had such a good turnout for our book drive.
Yeah.
That we actually have extras because we did 75 complete book lists, secondary school and primary school.
Okay, very good.
Yeah. And I think if you you know the price of books, you know,
I know.
exactly it. It moved, like it jumped ridiculously from I think last year doing a school book, a secondary school book list from 1,500 to now paying 25.
Okay.
And textbooks alone are ridiculously priced. So, but they need it. I mean,
Yes.
at the end of the day,
Yeah.
it's we also do it. Those though also go on um, a return policy. So if you don't have a younger
Okay.
sibling in the house,
You give
even
it
though you
back.
get new brand books, you give it back, right? If it's not a subject you're going to do for CXC, CAPE, and you return it. So in good condition.
The books are in use all the time.
Yes. Because that's what we, again, try to do. It's a helping hand.
Do we have a number for the association if anybody wants to help and wants to reach
We
out?
do, and I honestly cannot remember
But
because
you
it's
have a
something I
Facebook
can't.
page?
Yes, we do.
The
Yes.
ICANN Foundation is on Facebook.
It is. It's also on Gabriel's page. So if you go to Gabriel Hampton's page, his Facebook actually is all the work we do. And we also loan out things since we're working with medical. And it's not just only kids with cancer, it's generalized kids also. We had good donations. We have 3 medical beds that are on loan.
Okay.
2 wheelchairs.
So you lend it out to people.
So we send them out on loan. You can use it. We change the mattress when it's returned. So when we have children who, I mean, as sad as it is, would be on palliative care and would need it,
Yeah.
or if you have children who did an amputation or did something that would require the bed for a certain time. Yes. So that is on loan. So it's used.
I want to
And we
ask you a
maintain-
question too. Who's handling your stresses?
I would say my youngest son, but
Because I think to do all this work, and I mean, Gabriel is the mastermind thinking of these things, but I mean, to put it out
to
there,
execute it's a good bit.
It is a lot of work,
is.
and,
But
and
we have a good
sometimes
team.
if you get involved, the emotional stress and that.
Oh, I tend and I tell people like when it gets too much, we basically step back a little bit because you need to do that just for your own mental health. I think because when you get overwhelmed with other people's, I mean, and there's a lot of hurt and there's a lot of pain in situations like this, especially where you see children in need for something, and there's no avenues to even assist them, but you need to stop and
Take care of yourself.
for
So,
5 minutes.
Thank you so much
No
for coming.
problem.
And yes, in caring for others, sometimes you need to take care of yourself. So the ripple effect wants to know that everybody out there need that little care and attention, and whatever we could give, you could go to Gabriel's page and look at what's coming up next and see how you can help.